Welcome back to the Hoeflinger podcast. This is episode number 26. We're back with one of our highly requested guests. It's my mom, Dr. Cindy Hoeflinger. And I'm here with it's me and my dad here. So how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Mom?
Mom's doing okay today.
Well, we're doing okay because I just got a new phone and it's always supposed to be so easy. You just transfer and everything's supposed to be so good. And she's just spent 3 hours trying to get my new phone reloaded, called Apple. It's never simple. I'm still not signed into a lot of my things. So that's consumed our afternoon.
He doesn't know some of his passwords.
Yeah, well,
so
that
makes it a problem.
He thinks he does. But I just got him on. I'm going to try to show him how I do my stuff with. I use LastPass. That's not sponsored.
It's hard. It's hard to teach us old dogs new tricks.
Well, I got to get back into all my emails and all the stuff that we use social media.
So basically, like how I usually. So my mom helps him, and I had to get him signed back into all the stuff. So that was a huge debacle. But then it's nice. There'll be maybe you'll notice some of the on social media people will notice because you're going from a iPhone 13 to an iPhone 16.
Yeah, it's been like 3 years, so it should be better quality. And I have to learn. I might even go to Apple and take the classes I have to learn about my phone for a change.
That's good.
I know, it's a good idea. You should do it too.
Yeah.
She's thinking about getting a new one too.
But
why should he get a new one and I not?
Yeah, well, it's a good
we
point.
always get them together.
Well, so how was your guys' Sunday so far? It's about what? It's 4 o'clock here on a Sunday. Oh yeah, what did you do this morning?
Well, we got up and did our usual, get a cup of coffee and
we got Archie up
breakfast,
and let Mom and Dad sleep in, and he was entertaining us.
And then Cindy's got a new idea about healthy lunches for us, especially for our daughter Christy. So she was on the computer finding that stuff, and then we went to a healthy grocery store. Not healthy, but it was a
fresh time.
Yeah, fresh time.
Yeah, it's more.
So we spent like 45 minutes an hour there shopping. And then we went and got my phone, which we didn't know the password, so I had to bring the phone home.
Hooked on the phone, and then
here we are. BLTs
for dinner. We're doing it easy.
So what was this? What's the healthy lunches you guys are on?
Well, I decided that it's better just to get on a regimen because I've been not kind of on one either, and then I get lazy and I don't eat enough, and so I thought, what's wrong with having sandwiches for lunch when you're She goes and works or goes to school, and I can prep up sandwiches, some kind of vegetable, and some kind of fruit. That's easy, and I could do it. I'm going to do it for Dad, me, Hayden, and Christy.
Yeah, I mean, what we're not trying to do is do all or nothing because, we're just trying to do something halfway healthy. We bought some bread that's a little bit less calories, put some healthy stuff on it. We thought maybe like a fruit, but, people crave carbs, so we got like those little snacks that have like 100 calories in them. So it's something to look forward to in the middle of the afternoon. It's 100 calories, but it's carbs.
And
so
something a little sweet. Yeah. Like maybe throw in some M&Ms with some granola or some nuts and stuff, and then have it maybe something to munch on. Because I think sometimes we munch or we want to just have something in our mouth or chew, or we get bored. I don't know. Because even whether I'm home or at work, I kind of do that too.
It's a good idea. I mean, I jumped on board because I don't pack that healthy, I don't think, for lunch.
Well, I think it helps too if you're by having that and taking the decision making out of it. Then when you're like not feeling good or you're having to work or school, then you're not just getting Chick-fil-A or other fast food.
Which is what I even do that, which is ridiculous because I don't have anything ready.
So this morning you just wrote down like each day, 5 days we did,
and I'm
maybe the same sandwich 3 days a week, and then 2 of the days were something different. And
and then
just meal prepping.
One day I'm gonna do I'm just doing like sandwiches, like ham sandwiches, turkey sandwiches, nothing fancy. And then the 5th day I think I'll do like a Caesar chicken wrap. So get a healthy wrap, and then put chicken strips in it and do some.
Probably to preempt anyone out there, I think it's kind of in line with our newsletter, but that's just trying to get most of the way there on being healthy. That's much better than eating out or eating complete junk food. But obviously it's not perfect. Yeah. Obviously those meals aren't perfect, but it's sustainable for now.
Yeah, and like I think that's got to be better than eating Chick-fil-A or not eating at all. Right?
It's definitely better than eating Chick-fil-A, but there's always going to be people who say like meats processed and everything like that.
Exactly.
Right, and so you can go all crazy and try to do everything that you think is perfect, but life's not perfect. And so
we're too busy.
And part of it's calories. Part of this whole thing is not just the health of it. It's about I think, especially Christy needs to limit her calories a little bit.
And
so we're
do,
trying
like,
to figure out,
portion control.
portion control.
And filling yourself up with vegetables and fruits that have fiber and water in them, and all these nutrients.
We've got carrots and
vitamins.
celery, and maybe a little bit of Marzati yogurt. Then
the Bolt House, which is yogurt based ranch dip. You can use for dip.
It'd be interesting though too if on any of our social medias, or you can send us an email. I would be interested to hear what are your guys' healthy go-to meal options
that are easy but good.
When we're describing. So I imagine a lot of people, it's just trying to come. At a certain point, you do have to try to do a lot of the same meals and stuff if you want to eat healthier. If you're trying to bulk, or you're trying to cut, or you're training for a marathon, it gets hard to try to have a lot of variety.
Yeah, too much variety makes it too complicated.
Well, and too much cutting and putting together. Maybe I'll save a little bit more of that for the nighttime meal, where like I've got a recipe for just an easy, quick beef and broccoli stir fry, like a soy-based teriyaki kind of homemade beef and broccoli stir fry, and I'll make brown rice with it, and I'll do that tomorrow night.
So, maybe some people too were switched a little bit. When we were walking into the mall today, Cindy and I, we were, how you walk by a window, you can see the reflection, and I was standing up straight, and you could see she was kind of hunched over, and then she goes, "Do I look like I'm hunched over?" And I said, "Yeah, you're hunched over." And she said, "See, I knew I was." Well, what's your big news?
I'm getting surgery again. I've been really doing well with my knee, but my attitude, I said, was kind of stinky, because I was feeling sorry for myself, because my whole life has been turned around these last several months. And it's hard not to be depressed when you're kind of in pain and you're limited in what you can do. Your social activities are down. You can't exercise. And from what I read on my comments, that there's a lot of that going around, and so many people could relate to that. Well,
just interrupt too. Just sorry, but so what she has severe.
Can I tell them what I have?
Oh, sure.
I was going to say it next.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So after all that, and I'm doing well with my recovery, I still have spinal stenosis, a level up, and apparently when you've fused someone at my L4-5 like I was, you can get adjacent level disease where you get stenosis again. Now, hopefully
it's
it'll
called
end.
Junctional stenosis.
Junctional stenosis. So instead of having to have a fusion this time, I can just get a decompression, and it should be a little easier unless I have a lot of scar tissue to get through, but I don't think I will.
And when she says decompression, it's just a laminectomy. So you just take the bone off the back of the spine to open up the spinal canal at that level, but she doesn't need more rods and screws.
Right. So I was looking at my MRI with Dr. Lewis, my husband's partner, and it was kind of creepy, because there you are, you look at a cross section where you have, spinal fluid going through, and it's all lit up right, and you can see the nerves and you can see the spinal cord. And then we go to L3-4, which is where I have the new disease, and it's black, pretty much dark. There's no signal, nothing coming through.
Well, because you don't see the spinal fluid, because it's so narrow. Spinal fluid shows up on one sequence on MRI as bright white. So when you don't see any white, it means there's no fluid there because it's so squeezed off.
Well, obviously I have some fluid, but I can tell because that's why I'm bending
that
forward.
Isn't so, you kind of known that you were even when you had your knee surgery, you knew you kind of probably going to need to get another back surgery. But it is tough, I think, no matter what. I think part of it is one of my friends, he was lifting recently, and he thought he either has a bulging disc or something happened to his back.
Oh.
But because he was in bed for multiple days, he said. But it's just when you're younger, you can kind of bounce back from things a lot quicker. So that he said he was lucky in that fashion. But
we don't bounce back as quick.
As you get older, you don't bounce back as quick, and it is very hard. Right once your health is gone, it's one of those things you don't pay attention to until
it's gone.
Until it's gone, and then all of a sudden, your health is everything. If you woke up tomorrow and you couldn't move anymore, you were completely paralyzed, it would completely change your life, and it wouldn't matter how much money you had or anything else you had, because you've lost your ability to move, which you just took for granted.
Well, what's sad is people who wake up one day and find out that they have cancer, or they lost a loved one like we did. That's why we have to be grateful and remind ourselves to be grateful, because we forget, all of us do, and try to work with what we have. And speaking of how you're just good one day and then the next day.
Yeah, what happened to you?
What happened to you?
No, a couple of weekends ago, I put a post. I was cleaning out our garage, and I spent 10 hours cleaning the garage. The kids are all gone for the weekend, and I just
couldn't do
lifted
anything.
too much and moved too much stuff. So the next day I was a little sore, but then the following day my back. I mean, I never had back pain, so it really hurt, but manageable. So I took some, muscle relaxants, and I took some not Motrin, and I just thought it would get better when, warm shower, and then it just progressively got worse for a week, and to the point where I really couldn't roll over in bed. It hurt so bad. I mean, I get locked in a position where I couldn't. I mean, tell us in the middle of the night, I say, Cindy, I can't move, I can't roll over. Or trying to get my pants on in the morning or my socks, I couldn't bend over to do that, and so it got to the point I was having a hard time even at work because it hurt so bad. So I got plain X-rays. Well, I was going to go to the emergency department, decided not to do that, but I got X-rays. X-rays looked okay. And then I said, I'm just going to keep on the Motrin. I did some steroids, round the clock medication, and I've done that for like 4 or 5 days now. And thank goodness it's gotten better, because I was going to get an MRI tomorrow if it wasn't better. But I feel like 80% better. So I think it was what I thought it was. I just strained my back. But I'll tell you, when you have pain that you've never had like that before, and it's so debilitating, your mind wanders. I'm thinking, do I have cancer in my back?
That's what I'm
Do I have a compression fracture? So that's why I got the plain X-rays to make sure there wasn't something eroding my bone or a broken bone.
Well, so I have a couple questions here that are pertinent. So, one, does that change your perception of now? I mean, obviously you've been practicing for 25 years. You're 60 years old, but as a neurosurgeon, does that change your perception a bit when people come in with back pain? Because
I mean, it will a little bit, because I never had back pain like that. It's the first time in my life I've ever had back pain like that. So I always take people when they come in the office at face value for sure. And when somebody tells me they're having pain, I don't question it. Mm-hmm. So I always treat them as if they really do. But, at least I have a better understanding of how bad it can be. I don't think I realize when I talk to people just how incapacitating it can be. I mean, I literally couldn't roll over in bed or sit up in bed or get my clothes on. I almost got her up in the morning to help me get my clothes on. For me to do that is just insanity. I mean, so I now, but I now realize how bad back pain can be for people and how debilitating. So at least I think it always helps if you've lived through something that you can understand better what another person may be going through.
And it's scary because, like you said, your mind starts wandering and you worry it's something worse. And
I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to work anymore. I'm going to have to have back surgery. I'm going to take months off.
An analogy would be there too, just like how you could probably talk to patients better when someone's brain dead because of your brother, because what happened with your mom, what happened with your son.
Yeah,
it makes you. And then you can listen to the podcast episode number 1 if you want that whole life story of the Hoeflinger podcast, where we talk about my dad's life story. And the other thing I was going to say is, remember when mom, for the first surgery, so my mom, starting in 2021, she's had knee surgery, and then she had
replacement.
Total knee replacement, or was it
total?
Yeah, total knee replacement. And then you had back surgery. Then you had this knee replaced this year, and then now you're going to have this
another back surgery.
But I remember at first, mom's an MD, PhD, and when she first, being told that she probably needs surgery and looking at MRIs. Even though you know all this stuff in your own head, you question everything and everything like that. So same with you. Even though you know all these things and that it could be and everything else, and the likelihood that it's the worst case scenario, but when it's actually your body and it's you, right?
What's weird is too, I knew I strained my back. I knew that's what it was. Common things are common. But as every day went on, it got worse. That's what scares you. It's like it should be getting better, and it's getting worse. So then your mind wanders. You're right. And even with knowing too much.
Have a tumor?
Yeah, knowing too much is a bad thing sometimes.
Well, because you already know a lot of these things, so your mind can wander just by itself. Other people, what they naturally do, right, is go on to Dr. Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just had recently a woman, a patient come in who has a big tumor and was paralyzed, and so I see that. It's like that person has had back pain, and it makes you think, God, do I have something like that?
Yeah.
It's scary.
I think everything changes. I mean, it's also facing our own morality. Right? Because I think
mortality.
Yeah, mortality. Yeah. Because it just like getting older, like you probably thought nothing of it when you were moving stuff. You've always been fairly athletic and can move everything. So
you just climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
But then to do that, you were just doing like household activities and stuff. Obviously, it's more.
Well, I knew I'd be sore, but not like that.
Yeah, you didn't think, but you think isn't it insane how different you can get away with stuff and it's hidden when you're 20, 30, 40, even maybe 50. And then once you kind of get up higher in your 50s, 60s.
Yeah, you're 60 now.
Well, and what happens now is like I want to, I'm starting to feel better, but I'm gonna take it easy. But I want to start go out and walking and running again a little bit. And I'm thinking, God, if I do that, what if it hurts my back? I don't want to get in that situation again. So I think people change their lives. I'm not going to, but I think people do it.
You do.
You're
you
scared.
Can't help but do it because you're scared. Look at me. I fell and cracked my sacrum too, which we probably never talked about. My foot turned and I had a small hairline fracture up in my sacrum by where my fusion was. And now I'm like paranoid. Shall I ever ride a bike again?
Well, how did you break? So tell people how that happens.
It was middle of the night. We had sold our house and we didn't have a new one. And I was half asleep and I thought, well, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I stepped down, and because where my knee replacement leg is, your ankle changes. My ankle was a little bit weak. It turned and I fell down, which when I was younger, I did that all the time because I was a klutz. And I fell right on my hip. And I think the force couldn't spread across where my fusion was because, I got hardware in there. And it probably reverberated back, and I had just a tiny little hairline fracture. Did not know that for probably a month, but then I finally got an MRI. My orthopedic doctor said, it's not your hip. I know it's not your hip. So he got me an MRI, and then we found out I had a little hairline fracture, which you just rest.
So I think something that would be useful to people too is something I have read and heard a lot, and you've probably seen. So many times people, fall, as you get older, falling is a huge thing, and that can lead down the path. But a lot of times too, like in the middle of the night, if you're older, advice I've seen before, and I think it's great advice, and you guys can put your input, making sure that you have that you have great lighting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And especially if there's steps or anything, to be like extra cautious because
careful.
We are very visually dominant creatures that we think that try closing your eyes and balancing on one leg. It's extremely, I can balance on one leg with my eyes open very easily. When you close your eyes and do it, it's
hard.
It's very hard because so at night we don't think it, but even just slight darkness makes you much more likely to misstep and fall.
I've always got this little light turned on downstairs on the one side of the house by the front door, so it gives you light up the stairs. And then we have this funky light in our back hallway that goes down by our bedroom, and I wanted to replace it, and then I was like, this is the perfect nightlight. It allows you to be able to
Remember
see.
when we first moved in here? So
Yeah.
you're so used to your patterns so for 14 years in our other house, I knew exactly every step. You can almost do it with your eyes closed. But we got here, we have steep steps, and I didn't know the count of them. In the morning or nighttime, I remember how many times I almost killed myself. Yeah, because
we have
I didn't realize how many were there, and you forget there's another step, and then you ever had that when you step and it's not there, and then it feels like you broke your leg.
So we have a couple steps down, and we have lots of little step downs, and I don't know what builder thinks. Apparently, all of them, that it's really cool to have these step downs, or a couple steps up, or a couple steps down.
But to Kevin's point, so if you're ever in a new, unfamiliar, definitely have lighting, because
night lights.
It's so disorienting when you're somewhere new and you're thinking there's a step there and there's not.
Our dogs were even falling.
I think the thing too would be like, I was talking with my friends, like you have to, like right now, like I'm 27, but I'll have to remember as I'm 50, 60 and older, it's very hard to admit to yourself that you've lost some of your capability. But I think it's crucial because even just using, like some people, like I don't want to use a handrail because I don't need to use, but it's just, even just one thing where you fall and then you break your hip or anything else, it can lead down a path that you break your hip and then you need to get a hip replacement, and then you're laid up and it's depressing to not be able to do stuff. You fall out of exercise, and as you said, you get scared. You get scared to go back into stuff, and then you're more likely to injure yourself again, and then you're stuck kind of in that thing, and then all of a sudden you might not ever be exercising again, which is what
sad.
No, I'm just saying. I feel like that people can easily get in that suck in that cycle.
What happens.
And then how good is your life quality? What's your life quality at that point if you can't do all the things
you enjoy doing?
Yeah, if it hurts to go hang out with friends where you can only go be out of the house or not in bed for an hour, so you can't hang out with friends.
Or you're depressed because none of your clothes fit because you put on 10 pounds. You just have to go shopping, which is what I did actually.
But I think a lot of what we've talked about so far does bring us back to our newsletter this week, because we were talking about everything in moderation, even if it's, we talked about exercising. If you miss a workout one day and you don't have 2 hours to do a 2-hour workout, at least do 15 minutes, don't do nothing. Or if we were saying how if you had a really healthy meal plan and, you had to go stop at the store and, you're going to need time to cook and you're running late at work.
something.
Don't stop at McDonald's, but at least come home and do something semi-healthy, you know? I mean, it doesn't have to be what you were planning. I mean,
it's also okay it's the 80% rule now that they talk about. 80% of the time you do the right thing. If you really feel like having Culver's or Jimmy John's or whatever, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You can't feel guilty about it. You just, you know, enjoy it.
She's just saying that because we had Five Guys 2 nights ago.
Well, you can't perfectly optimize your life. That's why what we were talking about. So the 80-20 rule, the 80-20 rule, or Pareto's principle, because of who founded it and then how it was eventually coined in the 1940s. But that's what our newsletter was about, and we kind of combine that with the aspect of all or nothing thinking versus something is better than nothing thinking. As not a great way to put that, but that's the kind of the best, not an articulate way to put it, but that's kind of what it is. And it really is. You got to have grace with yourself. You have to have some self-acceptance and self-love, where sometimes you get busy with work or life, lots of stuff. You have all these errands you want to run. Sometimes it gets late at night and you're tired. And if you really want to go have some even McDonald's or Five Guys or whatever, then just do good
and
the next.
Enjoy it.
But it's also
about
about expectations, because I have to give you a recent example, and she'll get mad, but she always starts new diets. So she started this really strict diet.
It was the elimination diet.
And you can tell them about it, but it was not sustainable. Kevin and I could see it. There's just no way she could sustain
Julie
that.
And Christy.
And after a week, she's having, she's angry and hangry, and she's not getting enough glucose, you can tell. And so,
but sometimes
I'm surprised that you quit. But tell them about it. It's just
it was kind of like a Whole30 elimination 30-day thing where you take out gluten, you take out sugar, I can't take out sugar abruptly. It's awful.
Well, they didn't want you to have cream in your coffee, and you enjoy.
Well, no milk, no dairy, because it's it can be inflammatory. And then at the end, you were supposed to gradually. After a week, you're supposed to be tired and fatigued the first week. Well, I didn't drink coffee. I didn't because I can't drink coffee without cream. I even did drink some black coffee, but. And then the second week, I was still feeling like crap, and I could tell I needed some sugar.
Well, I think the thing is, some people can do that, and you can have but how long until one thing happens where if you have extreme discipline and you do that, how long until it cracks and then it's not as good as doing something really intensely for the short term is always going to be trumped by doing something consistently for the long term and doing less. Doing all those things at once, cutting out sugar, cutting out it
was too intense.
Everything. It's so much
better.
I think
it leads to disappointment, right?
Yes.
Because it leads to disappointment because it's so complicated, so hard,
it's so
intense,
strict.
And it's not real life. I mean, who can sustain that? You know, unless
you have a so strict, and I was hungry. I realized that I was hungry, and all I could eat was meat, vegetables, and not even all fruit. And I was hungry, and I quit after probably a week and a half.
Well, and also think about the rest of the family, because we often eat together the same meal. So then she's cooking her own meals. Kind of, we got to do our own things. It becomes very disruptive.
Yeah, they didn't like it because I wasn't cooking for them.
Well, actually, if we're being honest here, a lot of times my mom doesn't like my meals because they're usually healthy meals. So.
They're very healthy, but sometimes they're
when I am cooking,
they're kind of bland.
But I'm saying again, there's
raw.
times where I do. No, it's not. It's not that necessarily. It's the fact that once you're not as used to all the sauces, I can't It's way too sweet.
It's too sweet.
I have GI problems too, and I get that from you, and so does Julie have that. My sister.
I don't have.
But I think it's very important. I very much try to eat. So I don't eat at restaurants. I don't like eating at restaurants. I don't value it as much as I do all the time, of course too.
Makes you sick.
But no, it doesn't. It just you don't feel as good. Some people value eating at restaurants. They put that really high up. Like my girlfriend and I would rather cook a meal at home together, I think, versus just go to a nice restaurant. Because it is. They put so much. I can make stuff taste good if I put a bunch of grease and butter and all that shit. But I don't.
But it's good to eat good most of the time, and then, like you said, once in a while. But it's true. There's too much additives. Sometimes even fruit, if you just eat fruit by itself, it can be very sweet. So it's just I'm trying to lower my sugar intake a little bit.
But also find things too. Like I did, I was out running a couple weeks ago, and I did 3 miles. I think I burned 330 calories. And so I just Googled what was 330 calories in food. Well, for 6 Oreos are just over 300 calories, or a scoop or 2 of ice cream is 300 calories. And so you could come home after your run and eat that, or you could have I figured out 1 apple, 1 medium banana, and what was the other thing? a cottage cheese or something. All those, one egg, one apple, and one banana is 300 calories. I mean, look at all that food, and it's healthy for you, as opposed to 6 Oreos. So
Yeah.
you know, always think about.
You could eat 1,000 calories of Oreos and not really, it wouldn't be that big of a problem and not feel good. But try eating 1,000 calories of apples
Or broccoli.
It would be, or broccoli.
Right.
It would be almost impossible.
Or you'd get sick from the broccoli.
But it's the point. I mean, I spent a half an hour running. I take that time to do it and try to get healthy, and it's good for my heart no matter what. But you know, to come home and then just blow it on junk.
Well,
you know,
you
when
don't
you
eat Oreos.
I think that's
I know,
why
but-
it's the key of like, I eat Oreos. They are good.
He likes
at times,
Oreos.
but
Well, I did when I was younger. I ate chip sandwich.
I mean, I don't eat them, but I like getting different things at times because I think it's good to do all this stuff. But I have calories too if I'm exercising a lot. But
You
I
burn so much.
I agree that it's good to see both those things, and that's how it can become a virtuous cycle where you're like, if I'm already working out and putting myself, like whether it's lifting or cardiovascular or cardio, I mean, if you're already putting in that work and that's not easy, that takes effort.
Right.
Why not try to eat a little healthier?
Right.
And that's how you can create kind of a virtuous cycle where they reinforce each other, because you're like, if I'm going to eat healthy, then I can exercise more, and then if I'm going to exercise and put in the effort, why would I want to waste it on like even a pop? Like if you drink a pop, that's like 200 calories and that's doing nothing for you.
Well, I looked it up. So a 24-ounce Coke, that's 2 cans of Coke, right? That's 300 calories.
We supersize everything.
Yeah,
But
so I mean,
it's
if you
the
came home and
sugar.
drank a pop, I mean, you know, 2 pops, you've killed your half an hour running.
Well, and that's filled you up and added zero
Yeah,
nutrition.
zero
Like,
nutrition.
and it's got if you're drinking normal
It's
Coke,
got high
Cola, or
fructose.
it's got those have like all those cans of pop have like 60 grams of sugar in them, which is
Or in the high fructose
Yeah.
corn syrup is like it lights up your brain. I read better than
Mhm.
heroin, and you just crave more.
These are the daily struggles at the Hoeflinger house.
But, I mean, I think-
We are a little obsessed with
I think
it.
it's important that I think a lot of people mistake if, say, when we're like training to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or when I've ran a marathon before, or reading a bunch of books. It's really not doing all these crazy things every single day, and it's not hitting every single day. I think about it more on like the weekly time frame. To me, are you able to do something 3 to 4 times a week at a minimum? And the more you can create that consistently over time, like I like to give the example of you work out 60 days. If person A works out 60 days in the next 2 months, and then stops for the next 4 months, and then person B works out 60 times over 60 months, so 10 times per month over 6 months. Person B is going to be way ahead of person A in 6 months because they've consistently done it, and theirs can be a lot less because you've kept building up the base. It's the power of compounding, and it works across many things. And we're talking about a lot of health and wellness and fitness and stuff, but it applies too. Like, so last Saturday I was running errands with my girlfriend, then it got later at night, and I was going to read longer. I was going to read like an hour, but instead I just read like 15 to 20 minutes because it's better to read some, or even reading 5 pages. That beats out reading 0 pages and not reading at all, because then the next day you're more likely to then read again and kind of build more upon it, and it builds that muscle.
Plus, you spent nice time with your girlfriend.
Yeah, but it's just it applies. The 80-20 rule literally it was originally developed because Pareto, he noticed in his garden that 20% of the pea pods yielded 80% of the peas.
Oh.
So it's all about trying to do things that have an outsized return. It doesn't have to be exactly 80-20, but it's just about with like overall like health. A lot of times, if you want abs, a lot of that's going to come from your diet. You can't outwork a bad diet.
Abs are made in the kitchen.
Yeah,
That's what
but
they say.
abs are the easy one to.
And we were also talking about like it's 20% of the pick 20% of the habits that are important, and that gives you 80% of the results. So pick things that are important to you. People always talk about diet and exercising and sleep. Those are all very important things. So maximize those. But there's other things in life too. Those are just the common.
And don't
examples.
try to change everything all at once.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of did that with that diet, but just pick a few things, like increase your water intake and do that consistently until you've developed a habit with it. I started working out about the beginning of October. I now go to the exercise coach, and it's really great for me not being able to be on a bench and stuff, and it's all computerized. I really like it. It's 2 20-minute workouts a week, and it really is 20 minutes, and I do like 8 exercises each time, but you maximize because your muscles are under constant tension. And it's kind of cool because it's got a computer screen, and you kind of try to hit a certain level, and it's kind of like a game. sort of.
I mean, but that's using gamification for like a positive result.
Yeah.
I think it's important though. I was looking through our past episodes of like trying to be real and authentic about different things. You know, there's so many things. We made a video about this in regards to our newsletter. You know, people put their perfectly optimized morning routine where they're reading, writing, exercising, they're getting in a cold bath, they're meditating, and it's like they're doing all this shit like that. That's not even. And then they have perfect meals all the time. And if you're a full time doing that, yeah, that's not really real life. And most of the time, it's not perfectly executing everything. It's just consistently doing it and doing good enough. I mean, you miss stuff. When we were training for Mount Kilimanjaro, we missed stuff all the time too. But you just keep going.
But you did it.
Well, and it's dangerous to look at people's perfect lives, you know, because I think so many people get on social media and they see people's lives and they compare and they think these people have perfect lives, but I don't think anybody has a perfect life.
Someone had a good comment on that video we put out. They said, you see all this stuff on social media and all these perfect lives and perfectly optimized routines and everything else. And whenever I go out in public, I never see any of these people. They're like, where are all these people? Which is, I mean, it's a great point. When like everyone that you actually interact with and encounter, people know that's real, but we fall into people give these perfect things. So I think anything always needs to be taken with a grain of salt and adapted to your own lifestyle. There can be things you strive for, but it needs to always... I think adaptability, that's why humans have evolved. I mean, it's being able to adapt.
Well, I think when you get on social media too, I see all this stuff too. There's so many, you know, advertisements for different diets and exercising routines, and they all sound great. And yeah, God, these people look awesome. They got 6-pack abs, not like my ab. And it's like, you know, it's one of these things that doesn't, is it worth doing that? I mean, you have to accept yourself, right?
I mean, I think a lot of it, and I think this is becoming more and more clear and people are accepting it, but all these people that are big time fitness influencers and a lot of even movie stars and everyone else, they use steroids, and it's a very real. I mean, that's a very
products, probably.
Well, no, it's a very, and even if you talk about really rich people, they have a personal chef and they have a personal nutrition and a personal. I mean, some people can't do all these things, so you have to try to do what's the best. Again, I do.
I guess what I was trying to say is you have to give yourself permission not to do that, right?
Well, maybe you don't want to be like that. I don't want 6-pack abs.
I know, but some people, I think they feel like they need to do that. I mean, just give yourself permission to be average. What's wrong with being average? And just be semi-healthy and exercise when you can, like you're saying, and give yourself permission to do that. You don't have to like.
I think you have to define. I think it's also the thing of like when people are like, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be this, I want to be that. It's you have to define your own definition of what success in life is. Success, you know, having a family and kids and you know your relationships. That's what matters in life. It's over and over again shown that relationships have a huge impact in your life. Mm-hmm. Fostering that, like define what success looks like to you. Don't go on social media or listen to what culture tries to tell you that you need to be perfectly fit to be successful. Humans are resilient. I sometimes people take it too far where they're scared to even see a little bit of blue light, or they're scared to be in the sun at all. Or, you know, sometimes it gets a little goofy where I'm like, humans have evolved over thousands and thousands of years. And we are a bit, if you do most of the things right, we do have some resilience. And then you have to accept that some things are out of your control. If you go driving a car and someone else hits you where it's not your fault, you can be killed tomorrow.
It was funny. I saw a thing today. I was scrolling through something, and so they got this caveman with this awesome body, like just ripped and tan, and then they had a picture of Bill Gates, who's kind of dumpy. You know, he's an older man. You know, he's got a little bit of pot belly and stuff. But the funny part was they were saying, yeah, they say how bad meat is for everybody, and we need to cut it out. And like, you know, what I'm saying that this guy's ripped from how many thousands of years ago, and here's what we are now.
Or think about how they always depict the Romans and the Greeks, all the things. They're all very, very athletic looking, and I mean, unless you want to say that.
I wonder if they really were.
But I mean, I think when people all had to do stuff, I don't think you could be like, you couldn't be you couldn't be obese, could you, if you lived in the ancient?
Yeah, you wouldn't. Well, actually, could.
I mean, you would have. I mean,
they didn't have enough food for them to get obese.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
But they didn't have sugar.
But I'm saying, I do think it's good to try to do your best, like we're talking about and all these things. But if you do the 80% and you're getting most of the way there, squeezing out that last, 20% is still good. But like the more you can get up, yes, keep going for that. Don't just stop because you've done good. Yeah. Keep going for more. But do not go crazy over it. People, I think perfectionism gets in the way because people will be 95% of the way there. They're less happy than the person at 80% because the person at 80% gives themselves the room and the space to allow themselves to have some cheat meals and to have some things.
I mean, I like the way we did it one time where we just ate pretty healthy the whole week, and then we hit Sunday's a cheat day. You get to eat what you want. I like that a lot because it gives you something to look forward to. And then you reset for the next week.
I like to eat healthy during the week, and then I want like French toast on the weekend.
Yeah, or to go out to dinner.
I love French toast. I used to eat French toast when I first moved in to my first apartment for dinner because I didn't have any money and it was cheap and I loved it.
Yeah,
it was about the only thing I knew how to cook.
Yeah.
So the last thing I was going to ask, because I noticed you've been riding your bike quite a bit. You haven't really talked to us about it, so I know you're always out running. But what are you riding? Are you training for anything?
No, I just like to ride my bike.
Just for in general.
Getting it in there before it changes.
No, I just need to do. No, because what we're trying to do is in the garage. We need to get those things off Amazon. Like make a little thing. I want to put my. I don't know if we're still doing.
He wants to make it one of.
I want to put my bike in there once it's too cold out. The bike thing. What's annoying around here is that when I used to live in Columbus at Ohio State, I could go right on the trail. It is annoying. You have to bike to the trail and then you have to unclip and then you get. Because I ride my triathlon bike that has clip-ins, and then you have to go there. It's nice once you're just on the trail, you know, and you don't have to get on and off. So I need to set my bike up like that. Because biking is, I mean, when I was doing it more, you know, when you're in the routine, like of biking or swimming or those things, I do it a lot more.
And then you want to do it.
Well, no, but biking is good because biking can give you a lot of gains that I can just get a lot of good zone 2 or zone 1, zone 2 on my bike or walking / rucking versus running. You can't build up all that volume all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I can't just go run.
Muscle.
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean, I don't.
Problem is too, we live here in Toledo where it snows and it's cold in the winter, so it's really
Icy.
biking's super hard. But I mean, even running gets to be a pain.
Dangerous.
Well, I was gonna say, so daylight savings just happened this past night, and it is crazy. I was talking to my friend who lives in Seattle, so it's gonna be dark here at like 5:30. It's dark there at like 4:50. He said at the solstice, it's like the winter solstice. It gets dark a little bit before 4 p.m. But I think that changes your mood. I mean, that's a whole other thing.
Talk to Julie about how dark it gets in London.
But that changes your entire mood. It becomes a lot harder. A lot of us work out after work, so I get off work at 5, and then to try to go do something. I like running outside. I like running outside way more than running on the treadmill. And running in the dark takes a lot more willpower than running in the light.
Yeah. Plus, you got to have your reflectors. These people in our
It's
neighborhood, I'll
dangerous.
leave it in the morning when it's dark out, and there's people out there walking or jogging, and they got black on. They have none of the reflectors on. It's just craziness.
Hoping that
And then if I hit them, am I responsible because I didn't see them? I mean, I don't know. And then sometimes I feel like stopping and say, "Hey, I can't see you," but then they'll just get pissed off.
Well, I think the big thing is too is like there's a huge thing when people talk about like living a really long time, like avoiding stuff like that is like you have such a high risk that's a big reason people getting hit by a car. Like if you're out running in the dark and you're not being very careful, like with lights on and reflectors and all that stuff. Like if I run, I use my headlamp and I put because if you're not, even when it's getting just dark, like this time of the year, fall into winter, where it's getting darker earlier, there's people that they don't realize they're going to be out in the dark. Yeah. They're out there with literally and they've got their dog. And
I like the people that have the flashlight and I'm behind them, and their flashlight's in front of them and I can't see it. It's like, okay, you can see where you're going, but I can't see you.
Well, obviously, we don't hit me. I'm always trying to, but I'm younger. Like I have obviously
better eyesight.
As we get older, I don't see as well at night anyway. So.
I have really good vision, so I can see it. But I'm always paying so much attention. I think I'm used to that from driving at Ohio State's campus and other things, where people walk in front of the street constantly. You always have to. You literally can't like zone out when you're driving. You have to, because at any point, even if it's not your fault, if you hit someone, you're gonna feel like shit. So even if it's completely their fault, some of these people,
they don't pay attention.
So just for us for the future, because we're just kind of rambling in here a little bit, and we've hit on some points, but do you like podcasts like this where we're just kind of talking about our days and just general stuff, or do you want a more focused podcast on a topic? We'd be interested to know, I think.
Well, we're going to try to do both, because I did see, I was going through a lot of the comments. Obviously, we haven't been as consistent on it, and that's kind of some stuff changed, and we had an office space where we were doing that. But we're going to try to do it like this, where we can set it up easier. It's easier to do it with this mic than versus some other mics. And we'll get there, but we're going to try to be more consistent with that. We'll do episodes like this. We're going to do episodes with guests that we invite on. And we're going to do kind of some episodes that are more structured around topics, like where we've done stuff. I know people like those. So if you have any other ideas or you think there's stuff we could be doing better, let us know. We want to keep
everybody interested.
Yeah. And we want it to be, I think, useful for people. But I do think there's a big aspect a lot of people commented on, or when we did the podcast on you or Balancing Career and Family, people do like authenticity or like rawness, where it's not, again, just kind of everything we're talking about today, where it's more about what is actually real life and give stuff versus here's what everyone knows what we should do. I could sit there and tell other people, and I can tell myself that, but I don't hit it. You know, if I was setting up a perfect day and I didn't have to do everything, and if it was a perfect world, and I think a joke that's always funny is when there's these online influencers that are giving all this advice, and then people are like, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, tell these people to do it when they have kids. And then they're like, I can't take advice from any of these like 25-year-olds giving all this perfect advice when they have no kids.
When they have no responsibility.
Even like when we have little Archie, like the parents need a little break or they're doing something and we watch him. He just goes everywhere. I mean, one of you has to watch him because he goes up the stairs and all around and he'll disappear and you have to watch him.
You have to figure out where he decided that he wants to jump when he walks down the stairs. Yeah. So instead of walking down the stairs, he tries jumping. And I almost fell down with him.
So there's no resting when you have a little one, whether you're the grandparent or the parent. There's no resting. And you have to pay attention.
Again, why you have to take everything with a grain of salt, because you have to adjust everything to yourself. So someone else whose job is to do all this stuff and create courses, that's great. And that's good for them. But like, they're obviously able to, and they have no kids, they can structure their day in a different way that you as a mom of 4 in your 40s, that you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to adjust it to your lifestyle, and you shouldn't feel bad doing something, even if you can go walking 20 minutes a day.
What you should do, though, is keep trying to find creative ideas and ways to do it, because we do make excuses, and then we don't. Like, I make a lot of excuses now. Part of the reason is I'm not as physically able, and I'm more tired. I like to sit around. I was able to do amazing things when I was younger, and I'd follow these diets where I'd eat apples and chicken and rice, and I'd cook for you guys, and I'd go play tennis, and I'd lift weights, and I was in great shape, and I was strong, and I don't want to work like that anymore.
We have late arriving guests here.
I don't want to. Somebody's trying to get in.
They're getting antsy.
This is Brandy and Bailey.
But yeah, let us know what you think. Hopefully, you guys found some use out of that, and this was just kind of to get us back into the consistency of it, and just being consistent. Again, this is, you can frame it as doing something is better than nothing, and then we'll optimize from there later on.
And I'm going to try to do some Pilates, because Kevin's girlfriend told me how great it was, and I went to an intro class, and it was really great. And then I got sick this week, so I didn't get to go back. But
and maybe Cindy will post on her social medias more. We'll get her doing that. But we should to be determined. We're trying to. I know people all want to hear, but she's doing good for her knee replacement. But yeah, she's getting back surgery, and
December 13th.
We will. Hope you all have a great week, and hope you enjoy this episode.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.